I have to remember to record. It says that we're being live streamed. Hmm,
Letting us out into the stream.
I don't know.
It says the content of this webinar is being sent to Facebook.
Yeah.
Whatever
I have
that
to
means.
remember to record. Oh, there we are. I had to click the little button and we are live. So
Yeah.
let's oh, there we are. I had to click the little button and we are live. So
Yeah.
we have some kind of reverb though. Do you notice that?
Yes, I think we need to. I'm putting my phone away because it's probably causing some echo.
Okay.
Yes, I think we need to. I'm putting my phone away because it's probably causing some echo.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I think we need to. Just so everybody knows, we've been trying to access Facebook Live for 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's been really fun, hasn't it, Vanya?
Just so everybody knows, we've been trying to access Facebook Live for 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's been really fun, hasn't it, Vanya?
Just so everybody knows, we've been trying to access
There's still a
Live
reverb.
for
Do you
20
hear it?
It's really weird, yeah. Can you try to turn off your phone? I turned off mine, so maybe.
I don't have I'm not logged in on my
Can you
phone.
try to turn off your phone? I
I'm
turned off mine, so
I'm
maybe.
yeah, I'm not logged into my
I don't
phone.
have
I'm not logged in on my
Can
phone.
you try to turn off your phone? I turned off mine, so maybe.
Yeah, I'm not logged into my
I don't
phone.
have I'm not logged in on my phone. Can you try to turn off?
Okay, I'm gonna X out and we'll come back.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Okay.
Well, maybe we'll just maybe these won't live stream. Maybe the answer
We
is
are. It sounds like we're on live stream because it's telling me the content of this webinar is being sent to Facebook.
it says it right now.
Yep.
We just logged out and logged back in, right?
Yes. So I think that we are indeed streaming to Facebook. I guess let's move it from there. Just so for all of you who may be listening to our little technical revamp here, just so you know, we've been dealing with some technical difficulties for the past 20 or so minutes. And it sounds like a great metaphor to start our day today. Merry Christmas.
Yes. Yeah, I don't show us live.
No,
Do you?
it's telling me that it's streaming live on Facebook. It says that you are live on Facebook, which is interesting. Very interesting.
It does say I'm live. Uh, I
So
see.
if we are live,
So Pam Arnold, it looks like you're in the chat. But we're live. Somehow we're live.
we're live. So let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got here, but we're here and welcome to a day of light and love. Well, that was a lot of hoops to jump through to get to right here, right now. And we have Vanja Bokun Popovic with us from Serbia. So she's halfway around well, is that considered halfway around the globe from Chicago? It might be.
It's definitely transatlantic, transoceanic,
Yes,
it's
it is.
transcontinental.
Yes, and we spent a lot of our time in technical adjustments. So I do know that you don't have a huge window of time, but you don't actually celebrate Christmas today. You have a couple weeks yet, right, before you celebrate Christmas in the what is it, the Eastern Orthodox Church?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. In Serbia, in this part of the world, there are a lot of Christians who belong to the Eastern Orthodox. In my case, it's Serbian Orthodox Church, and we observe Christmas on January the 6th. However, my family, my parents, my sister, her family, they all live back in Denver, and they do observe Christmas today. And so Christmas, we have two Christmases. So I consider myself blessed in a sense that there is this, it's almost like the sacred silence between two Christmases, if we can even say such as in
So
plural.
interesting, yeah, because you have the 25th in the US and in that part of the world, and then the 6th of January. So it's like that is a beautiful season there.
It's a beautiful season, and also many people do observe what we call Catholic Christmas. We don't have such a variance of Christian churches in this part of the world. It's mainly Roman Catholic when we say Catholic, that's just
Yeah.
what it means. It's different Christianity, different side of Christianity. And so we do observe it with great respect for all of our neighbors and friends and family members who do observe what we call here Catholic Christmas. And so it is Christmas time here in Serbia, and we start our winter holidays usually a week early. So our schools have been dismissed this week for a winter break, and the kids will be going back so that they can observe
Oh,
both Christmases and New Year's. Yes,
so if
and
I was a kid, I'd be all about that.
oh yes, yes, kids usually are. And so one of the big celebratory, one of the big festive nights is the New Year's. So in this part of Europe, New Year's Eve is like the biggest night of the year, and that's when we go
Um,
out and celebrate with our friends. Whereas Christmas is more reserved for more of a symbolic religious observance. So not really everybody celebrates it, but people do get together, go to church, have these build beautiful memories, but it's usually a silent night. Yeah.
yeah, but the tradition, it's interesting how traditions are like I mean, I have found that not just in family, but in community, traditions is almost the part of the glue of
Yes.
of the whole. So
Yes. And
so important.
it's so important. And what I found interesting when I was younger is this term that comes from sociology, and it says symbolic symbolic meaning of a certain holiday. So in my case, my in this part of the world, many people don't consider themselves religious, but they will symbolically participate in Christmas. And so the biggest, what is called like the main night of the year would be New Year's Eve, because it doesn't have any religious connotation. It just has, it's a party night. We're ending something, we're starting something new. And it's the night that binds all the cultures, all the nationalities, it's a very diverse part of the world. And so New Year's Eve is what binds everybody together. And then these other holidays are observed in the family circle, or people go symbolically visit the church, visit their family land, and so forth. So it can be a very, very deep way to connect with others. Whereas New Year's is just the superficial, partying games and let's have fun and be together. Yeah.
Which feels good too.
Which feels good too. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's also in this part of the world, it's time of a great contrast or contrasts. Um, because we do have holidays which usually bring people to a lot of cheer and togetherness and the sense of connection and unity. But at the same time, in Serbia, we have been seeing an uprise of protesting against corruption, protesting for more accountability on part of the government. And that's bringing up a lot of emotions for many, many of us. And it creates such a stark contrast where you feel that something is shifting, and
Mm.
it's shifting in major ways. And Yeah, and from what I can see from afar, there are major shifts happening in the States as well,
Oh, yeah.
especially in January. So I'm assuming there's a lot of contrast in your part of the world as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
there were, it's I think it's an interesting time when you're in it and you see the shift. That's a profound shift.
Oh, absolutely.
Otherwise, I've been through shifts where you look back and you go, "Whoa, that was a shift." But when it's dynamic because it's almost palpable on a daily basis here.
And I have to say, I have to express my gratitude. This is, I don't even remember which year. Is this like the eighth year
Is
you're putting together Day of Light and Love? It's been such a constant, like such a constant presence over the years. And what I found so profound about this event is no matter what else is going out there in the world, we gather on this day and come together and share our insights. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And you've been with me every single year.
Hmm.
And that consistency is appreciated. I feel that this event was inspired to serve those who might not have as robust of an experience going on in their physical world during this time because there are these times of transition and contrast and adjustment. We go through them personally as well. And I know that you're in one now on the family level, because grief brings those moments and to you have you're such an amazing mentor and I've been and actually public servant. That's what I notice with you. A lot of mentors just strictly stay almost in the private sector and that, but you're one who you have this very strong need to serve there, but to be out there in front and serving wherever you feel called to serve. And I appreciate that. I think I'm wired very much in that same way that I want to turn the rest of your time over to you to share your message because we could have a fantastic conversation, but there's always so much that I glean and other people will comment that they gleaned from what you shared
Hmm.
during your segment. So I know we talked briefly about grief, but I'm going to let you take over if you'd like.
Thank you so much for that. So this Christmas, this holiday season feels a lot different for me on a personal level. And I think it a lot has to do with the themes that have been permeating this year, the themes that I've been coming across with my amazing clients, with my students, friends, family, and so forth. And it's such a mixture, such a tapestry of different emotions, different states, different feelings, and such events that take us by storm that seem to be happening so fast that we don't even get a chance to savor the beautiful moments, those moments that really nurture us on the one hand, while on the other hand, all of these other stressful events seem to be just rolling constantly. And it creates a sense of complexity. It can create a sense of overwhelm where we come to the end of the year, we don't really get it. We don't even understand that it's the end of the year. For many people, I'm pretty sure if we ask in the comments for people to say what year they feel it is, many people will say, oh, it's 2018 or it's 2019. I don't even feel that we have made it to 2024, 2025, 2025. And so the contrast that I have been experiencing over the past few months and that has been really surfacing on so many levels is the contrast between the sense of fulfillment, the sense of love, of connection, while also the sense of disconnection and grief. And many people who don't really explore grief don't understand that it's not something that you get rid of. It's not something that you cure. It's not something that you treat. It's not something that you biohack out of. Grief is such a massive, massive, massive component of our life. And it really tends to come out during holiday season. And as we said, so many things have occurred this year on a global level, on individual level, and it's becoming very difficult to not confuse those two because they do intersect on so many levels. And what I have been exploring with myself, individual, and with others is really the silence that grief brings. And there can be something very ceremonial in it. There can be something very honorable in the silence of grief, in the presence of grief. And especially when it arises during holiday season, especially on a day such as today. Some people choose to be alone on purpose. And many times people say, oh, I just feel like I want to be with myself. I want to be in my little intimate zone. I want to be away from others, which is completely fine. But for some other people, it's not really a matter of choice. It can be a matter of circumstances, but it can also be the matter of unnamed grief. And so what I want to share, maybe more bring to light, bring to our awareness, is that grief is something that represents a natural part of life, and it tends to rise and it tends to go away. However, we often conflate it, or we often think that it's not really grief. We often think, I'm too tired, I'm a little bit fatigued, I kind of feel like I just want to be in my cocoon, I kind of feel like I don't want to see anybody, I don't feel motivated enough, I feel depressed, this feels depressing to me, and so forth. When we confuse these different states and these different layers of being, we can miss the point and we can miss the healing part of grief. And so my message today is that the presence of grief can be so overwhelming that it mimics depression. It can be so overwhelming that it mimics fatigue. And what makes it different from our desire to be in our little cocoon and to be in our little nourishing space is that it doesn't feel nourishing. We just feel overwhelmed by the weight of the world. We feel sad, but we don't really know what we're sad about. Or maybe we do have some ideas of what's currently making us sad. But grief on its own doesn't need an object. It can just appear, it can just show up, it can just emerge as a state. And I see where your eyes are going. Is that, would you like to?
Contemplating as you're saying this, I'm tracking with all of it. I've
Mm-hmm,
I've experienced what you've talked about here and maybe continue to.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I was just thinking with this information that you're offering, or at least giving it an expression of words, acknowledging it becomes a really important, in not acknowledging its presence. What I find is acknowledging its presence without making it wrong for being present.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Because when I was younger, I would fall into the trap of not understanding. Many people don't have the understanding of the depth of the experience that grief brings. And we confuse it. And so we think, oh, I'm too fatigued. Let me drink some coffee. Let me get some stimulants. Let me go and work out. Let me do this. Let me do that. And then we feel even more tired afterwards. And we can feel hopeless. We can feel weighted down by life and still thinking that it's our fatigue. And so what I would like to make a little message as an offering that depending on what our readiness level is at the moment, we can do a small ceremonial act of acknowledging our grief. Light a candle. Keep an understanding that yes, there are a lot of things going on in the world, and yes, we have access to information, and that information is kind of coming at us. And yes, we have been witnessing, and we continue to witness. I don't even know how to call this, almost like the disappearance of major institutions. People are losing hope in government, not only in the United States, but in other parts of the world as well. We are seeing exposure of corruption on a massive level. We're witnessing so many things, really being witnesses to a fast changing world. And who wouldn't grieve that? Who wouldn't grieve such a massive change? Some of our futures are disappearing as we're observing them. And so I'm bringing here space where we can just be with our grief. And it doesn't need fixing. It just needs a gentler hand and a gentler, cozier blanket. And I'm also inviting us to look into a very profound silence that we can touch on, we can be part of when we're grieving. And I would even not use the word grief in the word grieving. I would more express it as space. Grief can invite us to a very special space within, which can be again solemn and ceremonial and very intimate and very, very, very quiet.
Yeah,
Very
there's
quiet.
somberness that I feel almost is a doorway or a passageway. Uh, uh, there's definitely an there's definitely an elevation available if you cross into that corridor of just somber acknowledgement. I don't think that, I think for myself, most of my life, I probably avoided grief.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It didn't feel good. I didn't understand it. Then I think when there's some kind of like immersion, it's like baptism by fire. Uh, and obviously the beginning is very challenging if there's not already an understanding, which I didn't have. And then, but the beauty, there's a beauty in that, when it calls you to that quietness, there's always something, there's always something that comes out of that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure it's, you feel it, but it's intangibly tangible.
It is. And I think for me, when I used to spend a lot of time in that place and I didn't understand it because I was young. And now when it visits me, I like to say when it visits me or when I visit it, because
Yeah.
grief is like space that you visit it. It has the weight of the world. It has all these archetypal components, really rich Plutonian, archetypal components. And it can be a dark place. And there's also, for me at least, there's always a paradox where you feel so alone and you feel almost abandoned. And there is a sense of there's nothing beyond this. It's the ultimate heaviness of the world, it's the ultimate shutdown of all other realities. But at the same time, through that paradox, if there's no one else there, obviously there's everybody else there. So the deeper we surrender into that space, the easier it becomes to create connection. And there,
Surrender, that was a really good, that it's almost like there's an acknowledgement, which might be the beginning, but at some point, the surrender is what gives birth to the elevated calm.
the elevated calm, how beautifully, how poetically said, the elevated calm. And so again, it's almost like the mist. I think that the presence of this when we start elevating through it. And I do want to bring to light a little note, a little warning, which is not poetic at all. And that is that we're not meant to live from that place. So if our grief becomes the state of being and it becomes something that we experience on a daily level for longer periods of time, it's definitely the good time to seek professional help for the reasons that it can cause so many physical issues, medical issues, further psychological issues. But the grief that we are considering here, that we're discussing and contemplating here, is more the space that we visit during times such as holidays and during times when maybe we choose it for ourselves. I mean, the space that we go into, or if we are with others, we can feel disconnected as well. And what really helps is to be around people who love us, around people that who cherish us and people that we cherish. And if they're not available in our physical presence, they're available in our minds, they're available in our hearts, they're available in symbolic objects such as pens or cups or something that we can hold on to and generate a beautiful, beautiful experience from. Does that resonate with you, Jeannie?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I I think what you said there, I mean, I think grief is a dynamic state, but I do think that there are waves, and as long as it's waves,
Yeah.
but if it's a state of beingness,
Mm-hmm.
then there might be some help, outside help that professional can direct it to be that living wave instead of a locked state.
Oh, I love that. To me, it feels like a concrete block.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do anything with it when it arrives. And the only thing that I can do for myself when it visits me is to surrender, to totally deeply surrender into it until I gain more energy and more capabilities to look into the poetic side and to really allow that expansion of the poetic, the presence of something deeper, something more profound, something that allows for stillness and that allows for this deep understanding and deep meaning. But when grief is present just on the physical, in the physical sense, and it's overwhelming and too heavy, I think the only thing we can do for ourselves is really to rest and to sleep and to surrender into it until we gain more energy for a hot shower, for a comforting cup of soup, bowl of soup, good warm drink, or something along those lines. And I must tell you, I'm kind of inspired, even though we had so many technical difficulties jumping onto this call or entering the space. As I see the lineup of speakers of our panelists today, it sounds like things will be elevating moment to moment as we move along this day. But my message today was really directed at those who are going through something which sometimes can be difficult to name. And to begin this day from that stillness, from that ceremonial space, from that space of quiet and solitude and looking inwards, because we did go through the still night.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think what I'm extracting from our conversation is your invitation is to
Yes.
honor grief as a process, as a living process that
And
can
thank you for
birth,
that.
right? It can birth other things, even the darker things that it births eventually brings light. You know, the theme of today is light and love. And I think when we bring light and we bring love to those moments, sometimes it's just the loving ourselves and honoring, not making ourselves wrong
Mm-hmm.
for a heavier wave of grief or how we're dealing with it, or making ourselves wrong for feeling like we need to reach out and have a conversation with a professional, or how about with a friend,
Oh,
you know.
absolutely.
Yeah, so we want to invite anyone who's feeling that way. But we didn't really get into any of Vanya's credentials, and I would have loved to have expressed that, but I would encourage you to research her. Um,
Thank
I know
you.
that we have a little blurb about you on the event page, but no, Vanya is the thing about you, and I know you don't want this to be about you, but I also feel that like you offered so much, and it carries more power and more weight when people see it in the context of who you are. Now, you're not someone
Mhm.
you're not just speaking from a book, and yet you have all these hours and hours and hours of book mastery, but you have a life mastery. Is as young as you are, your life has been incredibly robust with grief experiences, living experiences, overcoming, right? And one thing that I do notice, and surrender came up, and then maybe we'll just end with that, but I feel like you honor you honor who you are in whatever the season is that you are. And sometimes when we move from season to season, there is a little grief even in that, in releasing the old version. But what I've known you long enough that I've seen you in every transition, you surrender to the becoming. The one thing about you is you're constantly we're all constantly becoming. It's not just that it's, but yours is very, and I don't want to say like living out loud because you're so quiet in how it occurs. So it's an interesting, you
I'm finding this very profound because I was not aware of this in the sense that it's for those who don't know, you and I have been in masterminds for well over 8 years. So we've been through a lot together. And I'm so appreciative of your words because so many times I don't really walk around talking about my life's transitions, and they are. I would say that what life has brought to me is a very dynamic pace of evolution. It's a very, very quick, very dynamic. People have a blast looking into my natal chart for those who love astrology. And before I learned how to be with it and how to explore it and how to phenomenologically move through life, um, I was in a lot of suffering, a lot of suffering. And so I found a way for my life's challenges to become the medicine of the future for myself, for my kids, for people that I work with, because they always yield something new. They always yield. They're off the beaten path. And so they always yield new levels of beingness within the moment and new solutions and new ways of moving through the world. And it's sometimes it's a lonely path, I must say. And so it really warms my heart to
well,
hear this from you. Thank you so much.
you're seen for sure.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
learned from you, and that is a beautiful thing that you look for the solution. That is it's a
thank you.
leadership lens. So
Thank you. Thank you for all of those of us who are online or listening to this in the future now, who have been struggling with depression or with suicidal depression for a massive number of years. Life can or future can seem like someone else's dream. And overcoming that is always a place of of grand creation and something that we can never do completely alone. As I like to say, the sky is always watching, our northern star is always pointing the way. So even in the darkest of times, it comes for us if we can pick up ourselves up.
that's beautiful. I will have to re-listen to this. There were lots of nuggets. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we're just warming up for this beautiful day. And thank you again for hosting this for so many years and putting all of us together here and creating this point of connection. Thank you.
thank you, Vanya. And Merry Christmas today
Merry
and Merry
Christmas to you as
Christmas
well.
January 6th. And Happy New Year.
You too. See you and hi to everybody. Bye bye.